Now to a deal in the Middle East. Israel approved a U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah in Lebanon, setting the stage for an end to nearly 14 months of fighting. Lebanon's health ministry says Israeli attacks have killed more than 3,500 people and displaced more than 1 million. On the Israeli side, some 90 soldiers and nearly 50 civilians have been killed in the north and tens of thousands displaced. Dick Brennan has the latest tonight on the agreement.
The ceasefire deal could end the conflict that's lasted more than a year. It would result in a 60-day period that would have Israeli defense forces withdraw from southern Lebanon and make sure Hezbollah cannot stay on the border. The deal was brokered by the U.S.
Effective at 4 a.m. tomorrow local time, the fighting across the Lebanese-Israeli border will end.
The U.S. and other nations will oversee the implementation of the ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel can now stockpile and focus on Iran. And Netanyahu says the length of the ceasefire will depend on what happens in Lebanon and that it will respond forcefully to any violation by Hezbollah.
So let's say they fire some rockets at Israel during this time. Israel is reserving the right to respond, and then the ceasefire could collapse.
President Biden says the U.S. will now make another push to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza.
And so now Hamas has a choice to make. Their only way out is to release the hostages, including American citizens, which they hold. In the process, bring an end to the fighting, which would make possible a surge of humanitarian relief.
And Netanyahu says the ceasefire will effectively cut off Hamas from allies in the area.
I think Hamas's strategy was, let's turn this into a regional war. Well, that now is off the table. Hezbollah is out, which effectively means Iran is out, which maybe means the Houthis in Yemen are out. So Hamas is isolated.
So Dick Brennan joins me now. We have a deal with Hezbollah, but now what about the situation with Hamas?
Well, it's the whole point right now. We heard President Biden, we heard Robert Berger right there say essentially Hamas is isolated. So what does that mean? They don't have their allies in the north in Hezbollah. Iran has always been supplying weapons to everyone, but never got meaningfully involved supporting them beyond weapons. There were some missile exchanges. So what does Israel do now? Well, perhaps Israel feels more emboldened, but they said they will wait until Hamas is decimated and cannot make war against Israel, that Hamas is decimated, can't make, and then they'd agree to a ceasefire. So we've got a ways to go.
That's true. And Iran is now weakened, too. So
yes,
we shall see here. Dick Brennan, thank you. And for the latest on the ceasefire, you can always find continuing coverage on our website, cbsnewyork.com.